Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. You gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, you. There's only one thing left to do, cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Turn back, we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus out. I'll do the body hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you feel it like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's all deal it. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do, cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
And move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. You see, I'm still in my poplin suit right now. It's the summer. Why not wear it? Feeling the groove and getting on the floor. Time to get on up. Got to get on up on iTunes, ladies and gentlemen. And also is available on Amazon and Spotify as well. But you also can get our you can also get Video Soul as well, which is another song that I have on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. I prefer if you buy those songs at the iTunes store. Shout out to the family. Also, I'd ask if you would support the channel by going to naughty'screoleblends.com. Get your spice and seasoning on. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Naughty's goes great with every dish, and you can get it just in time for the 4th of July weekend. You better get it right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and also shout out to you, Darius. Yeah, your boy is suited up. That's what's up. What's going on, guys? Good evening. Good evening. What else we got here? Sorry. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Let's see. Go to our Facebook page at Commonwealth Cause. The book is now available, actually, and it's doing quite well on Amazon. You don't want to miss it. I'm actually doing a book tour now, trying to do a book tour to promote the book. But you all can go right to Amazon.com now. Get the app. If you have the Kindle app, you can go ahead and purchase it. I know some of you want to know when the paper book edition will be ready. I'm actually going to work on that this week. But if you have the book, I prefer to if you'd also write a comment, because that's the way things get promoted. But the book is available, ladies and gentlemen. So go ahead and purchase it. Let me know what you think about it. Shout out to you. What's up, Lamiko? What's going on? I'm gonna open up phones a little bit later. We're gonna try and keep the show to an hour, so we're gonna get started, ladies and gentlemen, with some big news. Of course, one of the topics, I know I usually go in a certain order, but the breaking news, obviously, the big thing was Ghislane Maxwell, who was the accomplice, the little elf in charge, the big elf in charge outside of Santa Claus, Jeffrey Epstein. I shouldn't even put it like that because this was a sex fiend. This was the worst kind. Although I personally think that Jeffrey Epstein had some names he was going to be dropping. She's facing 20 years in prison. She was sentenced today. We actually have NBC News reporting on this. She was sentenced to 20 years in court today. During the here proceedings, Maxwell actually apologized to all of Epstein's victims in court and for being an accomplice to Jeffrey Epstein. We have here from NBC News here.
Hand in hand with Jeffrey Epstein to traffic and sexually abuse young girls, sentenced to 20 years behind bars with 5 more years of supervised release. The judge going beyond the sentencing guidelines, but not as far as prosecutors had hoped, plus hitting her with the maximum fine. Maxwell, speaking to the victims for the first time, she acknowledged their suffering without taking personal responsibility, telling them, quote, "I am sorry for the pain you have experienced," and that she hoped her incarceration will bring, quote, "closure and some measure of peace." Several of those women at court in person today sharing their experiences of abuse and trauma.
I spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes.
In court and in her court filings, Ransom detailed her 2 attempts at suicide because of how the abuse made her feel. Annie Farmer, another victim, saying, quote, "I felt tremendous survivor guilt." Maxwell didn't look at her as Farmer broke down in tears, saying, quote, "We all felt powerless." Maxwell, once a prominent socialite who consorted with royals, presidents, and billionaires, was convicted on 5 counts in December, including sex trafficking, conspiracy, and enticing a minor to travel across state lines for the purposes of illegal sex. Dozens of women accused Epstein of abuse, many saying that Maxwell recruited them initially to give massages to the billionaire. But today, the victims with the final word. An attorney for Virginia Giuffre reading, quote, "There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't ask why. Why did you hurt us so much?" Despite all the statements, Maxwell's lawyers tried to make a case she'd been a positive influence on other inmates, offering to teach yoga and assist others in getting GED certificates. Also bringing up her alleged treatment in jail, the judge in her decision rejecting those arguments, calling it a, quote, "pattern of deflection of blame." The judge saying Maxwell's conduct deserved a substantial sentence and saying what so many victims had hoped for years, quote, "Nobody is above the law."
20 years long enough, Annie? Is 20 years long enough?
We're very happy with this. Thank you.
Tom Winter joins top story now from Lower Manhattan outside of federal court. Tom, so the judge handing down a pretty heavy sentence here, but it could have been worse for Maxwell, correct?
Absolutely right, Tom. So had this conduct continued into 2004, which is when the sentencing window or the sentencing guidelines, basically kind of the rules of the road for the judge, had that conduct continued into 2004, she could have used new penalties, stiffer penalties, what the prosecutor was hoping for, which is 30 to 55 years for Maxwell, which, because the former socialite is 60 years old, would have effectively been a life sentence.
Right. And Tom, can you touch on the news that Maxwell was put on suicide watch heading into the sentencing? And I ask this because I know we saw the victims there. They testified. You were in contact with them. Were they satisfied with this result? And do they have any faith in the system that Maxwell will not commit suicide like Jeffrey Epstein did?
Did he commit suicide?
Well, 2 key questions. So the suicide watch started on Friday when Maxwell sent an email to the Inspector General of the Bureau of Prisons saying she thought prison staff might try to harm her. They asked her about that, and psychologists asked her about that, and she didn't elaborate on the details. So they were a little concerned, potentially, that she was trying to get in a jail cell by herself, where potentially she could harm herself, as you mentioned, as what we saw with Jeffrey Epstein. We anticipate that if things go according to plan, and this is something that happens commonly when somebody's about to be sentenced that they do go on that suicide watch. Expect her to be taken off of that in the coming days. From the broader picture that you mentioned, the victims certainly speaking today about a need for justice. We have some initial indications from some of the victims that they're happy with the end result of this, that she is going to be in jail for at least 20 years and that supervised release as well. I think it's important to note this is a rare case where we see 20, 25, even 30 years after the abuse, Tom, the impacts on these victims, that they could testify about the long-term psychological impacts on them, just really underscores the type of damage that could be done in sexual abuse cases.
We are also following breaking news. Ghislane Maxwell will serve 20 years in prison for...
All right. So she supposedly may be on suicide watch after this, and I believe she was even facing a perjury charge. But I believe from reading this report here, Ghislane Maxwell was facing a second criminal trial for perjury on 2 charges that she had lied under oath during a civil suit in 2015 about Epstein's abuse of underage girls. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. Prosecutors have said the perjury charges will be dropped if she is sentenced on schedule. Following a petition for a new trial submitted under seal, prosecutors told the judge on February 4th that Maxwell's arguments for a retrial must be publicly docketed. The judge said that the reasons for making the submission under seal must be made public. So she faces another charge of perjury unless she was sentenced on time, and I haven't heard that there was any reason, obviously, that she was going to be sentenced to that. They were actually looking to throw the book at her and sentence her for 30 years in prison. Now, if you don't know who Ghislane Maxwell is, her father is Robert Maxwell, who died back in 1991, but he was a Czechoslovakian-born British media proprietor and a member of parliament. And they say he was a fraudster and a suspected spy. And allegedly, also, from what I'm hearing in reports, is that Jeffrey Epstein, from what I've been reading, and these are all allegations. I don't know how these men get their lives. I know Epstein was a financier. He apparently made his money from working under her father. So that's how they were close. He got his fortune started through this Robert Maxwell guy. And I'll put a picture up from him for you. But this is Robert Maxwell. Dante Lime. Yeah, at the time, it's still there's still moistness vibes from that. MSNBC and CNN has that. But this is Robert Maxwell. Okay. That's Robert Maxwell. That's Ghislane. That's Ghislane Maxwell's father. And she got that name because he had a luxury yacht. Well, I didn't say he named it. He named his yacht after his daughter, obviously. And Maxwell died because he drowned to death, according to what this article says. What this I'm reading here from Wikipedia. Maxwell was in the Canary Islands in Spain and went missing, and his body was recovered from the Atlantic Ocean and taken to Las Palmas. But they said he had a heart attack combined with accidental drowning, although 3 pathologists had been unable to agree on the cause of his death at the inquest. He had been found to have been suffering from serious heart and lung conditions. Murder was ruled out by the judge, and in effect, so was suicide. His son discounted the possibility of suicide, saying, "I think it's highly unlikely that he would have taken his own life. It wasn't in his makeup or his mentality." So they couldn't agree on the manner of 3 pathologists couldn't agree on the cause of death at the inquest. That's interesting. I don't know what's going on there. More like that Agent 47 work. unsunken one. I don't know. I couldn't say that. I'd be speculating, and I don't like doing that because as a lawyer, I believe in the facts. There's no proof of that, but that is interesting how he died. I found it, and then it ties with Epstein, who dies mysteriously back in 2019 while he was awaiting his trial. Remember, Epstein, while he had previously pled to a molestation charge in 2008, these were new charges that he was facing, sex trafficking charges. And Ghislane Maxwell helping him with this. And this was a woman who actually hung out with presidents. You saw the pictures, billionaires, kings and queens. She attended Bill Clinton's daughter's, Chelsea Clinton's, wedding and actually sat in with it and arranged, I think, a reception on one of the yachts that she has. So these are people who have that are wealthy, a wealth of money. And she did try to file for a motion for a new trial. And who are you talking about, Maxwell? He is Jewish. He was from Czechoslovakia. He actually fought in World War II. Of course, in Czechoslovakia, Hitler came along and tried to, and did liquidate the Jews there. But he couldn't push further west because he got resistance from Russia. That helped with the Allies win World War II. And Ghislane Maxwell, yeah, she's the youngest. So I was wondering, now she was married. Ghislane Maxwell is still married to Scott Borgerson. So being that she's still married, my understanding, I don't know how their relationships are, but a lot of these people in Hollywood, a lot of these rich, wealthy folks, they swing, they have sex, they do all kinds of stuff. And I guess it's safe to say because she's convicted on child sex trafficking as a sex offender. Uh, you know, they do these weird stuff even though they're married, and you're helping out. I guess I'm gonna say this: if this was her boyfriend or somehow, but she was recruiting, uh, according to the federal government, minors for the purposes of having sex with Epstein. And although they charged her as an accomplice, who knows if she was actually doing stuff with them? She very well could have, but they better put her on. They better have them. She better pray them cameras are working. Remember, Epstein's cameras weren't working when he flew the coop when he bought the farm. And supposedly hung himself while he was on suicide watch. So what do y'all think of that? Y'all think will happen with Ghislane Maxwell? 20 years in the can. Of course, she's got an appeal on this. She actually made a motion for a new trial upon the basis that one of the jurors, believe, did not disclose the fact that he was abused as a child, and the judge didn't find the motion for a new trial was warranted. Now, she was acquitted on enticing a minor to travel to engage in sexual acts. And the only thing that she was convicted on was the sex trafficking charge. One, transporting a minor with the intent to engage in illegal activities, and three, of the conspiracy to commit cahoot felonies. That means you act as a principal to a crime. So she only got convicted on one, sex trafficking, and then one, transporting a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. Some of you may be wondering why it sounds like the same thing, but laws are worded differently. When you actually say sex trafficking versus transporting, you may not be necessarily trafficking that minor for that, but then you decide you're going to get on a plane and then eventually engage in that. That's probably what they were looking at. I mean, I don't know exactly how it's written, but that's essentially what it is. Just child prostitution. Exactly. Here, man, I got this. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Rand. So yeah, what do y'all think about this? Uh, Salute to you, Derek Bailey. Are y'all indifferent about it? I guess some people don't really give a damn. It's rich people. She's gonna get out probably on appeal. I mean, she's gonna do time, and she's getting credit for time served that she's been in custody. I believe the judge didn't really throw the book at her and give her 30 years, but remember she's in her 60s as we speak, and if she's gonna appeal this, yeah, she's only 60. Yeah, she's 60 years old. So you only do, I think, what, 75 or 80 something percent. I don't know how it is in federal court as counting the time, but at any rate, I mean, she's likely to get out before she's 80 years old. So all these damn socialites. All right. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I also need you all, if you could, to donate to the Cash App, the PayPal, and Google Pay. You see them at the bottom. This channel is not monetized, so any contributions you can give, I know I would appreciate. Ladies and gentlemen, I always got to ask that. Next thing I want to go into is this is some news that I saw here. 51 migrants die in a trailer in San Antonio, Texas. Did y'all hear about this? 51 are dead. Now, this is coming from CBS News. We got the copyright fair use for all of our news articles we share here. We always put it up here for everyone to see and for YouTube to see, because somehow or another, Facebook and YouTube, they've even censored Facebook now has even censored part of my videos. But this is out in San Antonio, Texas, ladies and gentlemen. I got family out there that are out in San Antonio, big city. And apparently there was a tractor trailer that was found abandoned. And when the authorities went to look into there, they found at least 51 migrants had died. More than a dozen others were taken to local hospitals with heat-related injuries. Federal law enforcement officials confirmed to CBS News that Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sagna, this appears to be the deadliest human smuggling case in modern U.S. history. During a Tuesday afternoon press conference, officials with Bexar County, Texas, which includes San Antonio, said the death toll had risen to 51. Among the dead were 39 men and 12 women. County spokesman Tom Piquet told reporters. Not all of the victims have been identified, and some of the victims could be under 18 years old, he said. This work will take days, if not longer, Piquet told reporters. On Tuesday morning, Mexican Foreign Relations Secretary Marcelo Ebrard said on Twitter, citing U.S. authorities, that the victims included 22 Mexicans, 7 Guatemalans, and 2 Hondurans. Investigators are still determining on the nationalities of those who died or who were hospitalized, citing reports. Let's go ahead and play the video.
I want to turn now to one of the deadliest incidents involving trafficked migrants in history. Tonight, the death toll has risen to 51, and authorities are looking for answers after migrants were found abandoned inside a tractor trailer in the scorching summer heat. CBS's Omar Villafranca is in San Antonio.
I believe we're going to need more medics. So far I have about 1, 2, 3, probably about 6 or 7 more patients that I can see.
A horrifying scene for first responders.
Okay. I believe we could use about 2 or 3 more bodies inside the truck for backboard.
An abandoned 18-wheeler filled with migrants in San Antonio's triple-digit heat.
Very sad to report that medical examiner's office has 51 bodies, 12 women.
Initially 16 survived and were taken to area hospitals. 5 later died, including children.
The patients that we saw were hot to the touch. They were suffering from heat stroke, heat exhaustion, no signs of water in the vehicle.
The chaotic scene is a familiar one on the U.S.-Mexico border. Human traffickers are known to use trucks and trailers to smuggle people into South Texas. Over the years, officials have discovered stash houses filled with migrants, waiting to board trailers to their destination. The journey is dangerous and oftentimes deadly. 2 people are now facing weapons charges, as Mayor Ron Nirenberg is demanding a full investigation.
These were inhumane conditions, and we want the people who were responsible for that to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
It's worth noting that the trailer that was found behind me was just off of Interstate 35, which goes all the way to Minnesota. Interstate 10 also cuts through San Antonio, and that goes from California to Florida. Both are popular routes with smugglers. Nora?
Omar Villafranca there in San Antonio. Thank you.
Popular route with smugglers. Oh, yeah. The 2 suspects, Juan Francisco described as a U.S. citizen who drove the truck has also been taken into custody and was expected to be charged, but he remained hospitalized as of Tuesday evening, according to a Mexican official. Now, the temperatures in San Antonio, they say the truck that was parked there, the temperature soared as high as to 103 degrees Fahrenheit. I can believe that. I've been to San Antonio many times. I've been there during the summer trips when I was a kid to my aunt and uncle's home. What's going on with YouTube? Y'all can't hear me again? What's going on? All right. There were over 100. So I've been there, like I was saying, 103 degrees, especially in the summer in June out there in Texas. I've been there. It's always hot in San Antonio during the summer. It's hot here in Louisiana. I know how hot it is in San Antonio because you're going even further south. But it's even a dry heat out there in Texas. You know, that it's got desert written all over it. Apparently, even the reports, the local authorities said there was no signs of air conditioning inside the truck, nor any signs of water. Mayor Ron Nirenberg says it's unspeakable, knowing that his community depends on migrants while there is a labor shortage. It's a tragedy beyond explanation. Now, I want y'all to look at this. This is a mayor of an American city saying that they depend on migrants. Now, San Antonio, while I've been there. Of course, it is, I believe, a predominantly Hispanic community. Of course, it is being in Texas in that area. A lot of the people have been there. Mostly, people speak Spanish. Of course, there's English is there too, but it is heavily populated with the Hispanic community. Now, let me say this: this American, I'm talking about this mayor saying that we depend on migrants when the labor shortage is slow. Right there is the wrong mindset. Now, I'm not saying, and you all know how I feel about immigration and so forth, especially illegal immigration, because this was what it seems like it was by all accounts and purposes. Because if you were a legal citizen, you wouldn't be coming through no damn truck in a trailer with a group of y'all in the heat. I'm sorry. But it seems like they came here illegally, and you have mayors, and this is, mayors focusing on the wrong thing instead of creating programs where it looks like I'm buffering. Am I buffering still? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna keep going. Instead of creating programs for the people in your city, when you say the labor shortage is short, there's an issue where people, when you say the labor shortage is short, why are people working and doing more hard labor and so forth? Well, part of it is you work long hours, you're working in extreme bad conditions. And on top of that, you probably don't get paid as much. You have to be working long hours in order to get paid that you want. It depends. But you're depending on illegal immigrants, and that's going to be a downfall in this country. Of course, I find it abhorrent what happened to these people. And it seems like they have arrested the individuals who perpetrated these acts, although it looks like they're not charging them with murder, apparently, because I don't know how the truck broke down, why they were left there, if they were probably scared to get help because they knew something was going to happen. I can't fathom what took place. We don't know all the facts and circumstances. That's what law enforcement will figure out. But to see a mayor talking like this, of course, saying, you're depending on that. It's just like with New Orleans when we depend on tourism to make its money. Tourism shouldn't be the only way that you build an economy, because you know what happens when you have, let's say, a pandemic. The tourists are not going to come like we had in 2020. We didn't have Mardi Gras. We didn't have it in 2021. We didn't have Essence Fest. You didn't have the Voodoo Fest, Crescent City connection. Nothing like that during COVID. And many people suffered. All businesses suffered. Yes, that's true. But if that is your number one way to make money, you are going to be in trouble as a city. Build it. We lost that casino, that Hard Rock Cafe that was going to be built that was shaky. That's not coming. They haven't even cleared that thing out yet. But what say you all with this story? And of course, President Biden, he's going to be all up in support. He's called it horrifying and heartbreaking. Exploiting vulnerable individuals for profit is shameful. Biden said vowing to crack down on multi-billion-dollar criminal smuggling enterprises that have helped fuel a record number of migrant crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border since he took office in January 2021. This is man that's part of the same group of people that actually want to. This is a man that actually, he's saying this stuff and he uses migrants to help increase, him and the Democratic Party. They use migrants, illegal or legal, but mostly even illegal now in some cities like in New York, where they actually want them to vote in local elections. You don't even have a right to be in this country if you come here illegally. And you're saying this shit. You saying stuff you don't even believe in. Just like abortion, Joe Biden spent years, a lot of people are talking about how Joe Biden is talking now. Joe Biden spent years trying to overturn Roe v. Wade when he was a senator. He didn't change. He's got to say all of that stuff for Democratic purposes, for his party purposes. It's just like what happened with Reverend Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson actually was pro-life at one point. He called abortion black genocide in the 70s. He changed when he wanted to get the nomination for Democratic president, but they weren't going to give it to Jesse. Hell no, they weren't going to give it to Jesse. Bunch of bullshit, man. So I'm wondering what will happen. Of course, they're talking about the investigation being underway, and the governor, Greg Abbott, of course, you know it's politics. Greg Abbott said that he blamed Biden's border policies for the incident, even as the emergency response unfolded. While bodies were still being removed and others being taken to local hospitals, he chose to be heartless and point the finger. This is coming from Rebecca Clay Flores, a Democratic local official in Bexar County. So she was criticizing Governor Greg Abbott. So from what they're saying, a truck may have been carrying around 100 migrants. I would think so, but the exact number remains unclear. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, authorities were alerted to the truck through an emergency 911 call from a passerby flagged down for help by a migrant who had escaped the truck. So this migrant escaped from the truck. Now, these are some pictures you see here. And we're gonna move on a little bit to my last topic, but this is some pictures there of the scene. You see how big that 18-wheeler is there, where people were stored back there. Now just think, guys, this is in 2022, and they did this on an open road. Now imagine what our ancestors did. I had to do on ships and boats in the heat that were being transported from Africa to the Atlantic. This is before there was technology, before there was an internet. You can't fly and slaves out. They had to do it on boats. Not that I'm comparing any blacks to what happened with blacks with this situation, but that's the first thing I thought of. Millions of Africans being transported to the United States and to the New World under force. Not by choice. Defecating, urinate, throwing up on each other with this bullshit, with this shit, man. I bet they'll get reparations from this too. Don't be surprised. Anyway, y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We're gonna go to our last video topic, guys, in a second. I don't even know who this. I know who this one individual is, but you got to see this video when we get a chance to look at this. But hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. So, does anybody know? This is my last topic. Nelson Piquet. I've never heard of I don't watch racing, but apparently this happened. I have heard of Lewis Hamilton. Now, a video is surfacing online. This is my final topic. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, family. Lewis Hamilton who is a F1 champion. That's the driver series. He's one of the best in the world. This man, Nelson Piquet, who's also a former champion, used a racial epithet, which is the equivalent to nigger, which he speaks Portuguese. He used this to describe your F1 superstar, Lewis Hamilton. And I said in open court, but on the air, actually, he was being interviewed for Brazilian TV. And many people now, especially the F1 organizations, as well as the companies that sponsor the races and so forth, have condemned Nelson Piquet for his use of a racial slur. So I'm going to play the video, although I can't even translate it. I don't understand it, but this is what happened here.
World champion Nelson Piquet, whose daughter is in a relationship with Max Verstappen, allegedly used the term in November last year, but the footage has only just come to light. Three-time Formula One world champion Nelson Piquet allegedly used a racist slur to describe Lewis Hamilton as he gave his verdict on the clash between the Brit and
It's not alleged, he said it. We saw it right there on the video footage.
Max Verstappen at last year's British Grand Prix. According to reports in his native Brazil, Piquet called Hamilton a term in Brazil that translates in English to the N-word during an interview in November last year, although the quotes have only just come to light. Hamilton and Verstappen touched as they battled for the lead on the first lap at Silverstone, with the Dutchman slamming into the barriers at high speed. Hamilton was hit with a 10-second penalty after being adjudged to have caused the collision but still went on to win the race. Verstappen is also in a relationship with Piquet's daughter Kelly. In an interview with Brazilian journalist Ricardo Oliveira, Piquet reportedly criticized Hamilton for not leaving Verstappen enough room and called the Mercedes driver Neguinho and the little black man. The comments have been widely reported in Brazil and have been condemned by F1 and Hamilton's Mercedes team. In a statement to the BBC, Formula One said, "Discriminatory or racist language is unacceptable in any form and has no part in society. Lewis is an incredible ambassador for our sport and deserves respect. Hamilton's tireless efforts to increase diversity and inclusion are a lesson to many and something we are committed to at F1." A Mercedes statement said, "We condemn in the strongest terms any use of racist or discriminatory language of any kind. Lewis has spearheaded our sport's efforts to combat racism, and he is a true champion of diversity on and off track."
And I don't watch Formula One or anything like that. It comes on, I know, Fox Sports and stuff. But Lewis Hamilton is one of the baddest racers in racing. He actually has a net worth of $40 million. And he's a young brother. He's about a year older than me. And of course, he has slammed it. Some teams have rallied around him, including outside of Formula One, Mercedes and the FIA. They have condemned Nelson Piquet for using a racial slur against British driver Lewis Hamilton. Piquet used as we know, he used a slur. They said that his Max Verstappen, who is a Formula One racer, and obviously was involved in that collision during the Silverstone Grand Prix, was dating or is dating his daughter Kelly. Well, I don't even know who he is, but it looks like they make her a big deal. They say that on Tuesday, Hamilton responded to Piquet's comments in a series of posts on Twitter, writing, "Let's focus on changing the mindset." He said that, which is in English, but he wrote it in Portuguese, saying, "Vamos focar em mudar let's focus on changing the mindset." Hamilton, who has the most race wins in Formula One history, all y'all can see is Google, but he has the most race wins in Formula One history. His mother is white. However, he has been aligned with Black Lives Matter, although I'm not involved. That's his mother, who's British. He's British, so he's not a FBA, but he is a black man. He acknowledges being a black person. I mean, I've seen him with his Black Lives Matter shirts, pictures of him. However, he's, you know how I feel about Black Lives Matter. Of course, they were condemned. Now, bear in mind that they've had this video and they've been in hiding with it for, they had it last year. They did this interview and it didn't air until now, which tells me that they were protecting this man. And if they were protecting this man, they knew what he had said. They didn't choose to air it. It's kind of like with the Donald Trump, well, not exactly in that situation, same situation, but Donald Trump, but similar in the way, the aftermath of it, how when Donald Trump and Billy Bush made the remarks about grab her by the you know what, and that was made 10 years ago and they didn't release it until the election, although I think that was a punk move because they were clearly doing it for politics, excuse me. But they wanted to protect this dude. That's my thing. They want to protect this piece of shit. Piquet. We got Nelson piece of shit. Nelson Piquet. That's his name. It's not Piquet. It's Piquet. Hamilton, who has the most F1 wins and race wins in F1 history, he said more. He said it's more than language. These are archaic mindsets that need to change and have no place in our sport. About no place in the world, not this sport. Athletes thinking small. That's the problem. That's the sport we want it out of. No, it needs to be out of the world, the lexicon. I've been surrounded by these attitudes and targeted my whole life. There has been plenty of time to learn. Time has come for action. We already heard what F1 said about Lewis and Piquet's statements to Lewis. His slur that he addressed Lewis. Mercedes, which is Hamilton's team, condemned the comment, saying, "We condemn in the strongest terms any use of racist or discriminatory language of any kind. Lewis has spearheaded our sport's efforts to combat racism, and he is a true champion of diversity on and off the track." Mercedes AMG Petronas F1 team said in a statement. Together we share a vision for a diverse and inclusive motorsport, and this incident underlines the fundamental importance of continuing to strive for a brighter future. FIA, which is motorsport's governing body, also condemned any, they say, we condemn any racist or discriminatory language and behavior which have no place in sport or wider society. Not wider, they said wider. It seems like the companies isn't that the same playbook they use whenever something racist happens? We condemned in the slightest terms. This is not a reflection on us. They gotta always stay. They always got to do that. But let me go and open the phone line before we get off here. Call is 504-656-6760. I want people to call in if you can. If you got a question or comment, try and keep it brief. We're going to take a couple of calls here. Hadn't done it in a while. What do y'all think of this Lewis Hamilton situation or Ghislane Maxwell? Anything we've talked about? We're going to talk about something else. You're going to talk about the EBT awards that were on Sunday. I had to turn it off. of course, they were gonna Tariq Nasheed was talking about this, but you know, the BET Awards, nobody really, and I said this even Sunday, nobody really watches the EBT Awards, as I've called it now, or the BET Awards, because I remember when those shows used to come on, how popular it was. I posted a picture of this, which is what I remember the BET Awards, probably the last great one, because it went downhill afterwards. But y'all remember this? Let's see if you know who these individuals are. Boom! The Godfather of Soul and the King of Pop holding a BET Lifetime Achievement Award. James Brown was being honored by BET. And since this is Black Music Month, we got two of the icons, the greatest icons to me in music, period. Although we could add Prince to that. But in R&B music, there's nobody better than James Brown. A man that has influenced pop, he's influenced R&B, but also pop, rap. You know, rap was good. I didn't watch it, but I didn't actually watch it, but it got bad when I saw Billy Porter out there with wings on. They had these, it was basically a pro LGBT thing. They had him do pose and stuff, and Billy Porter was doing, we're queer and now we're here. I actually saw this. If you want to know how bad, it actually is the #1 spot for best performing, according to BT. They actually had a surge in leadership, in viewership. I'm sorry, I said leadership. They pulled in a 34% linear viewership surge. With over 3 million total viewers across 10 Paramount Global Net watching Sunday. So that's another thing that they do now, because remember, BET is owned by Viacom. And Viacom, you know, when they have these awards, these award shows, I've noticed even I remember in recent years when BET's awards was on MTV. The award show was on MTV, which we know would never happen. And then they would have it on Nickelodeon. They'd had it on CBS. Remember one time during the pandemic, remember they had it on CBS because they had to do a virtual show. I remember when we had the Soul Train Awards. That actually was very popular back in the day. But they got the encore airing this Thursday. I didn't watch it, but you know it was bad because what they started off with was talking about, of course, Roe v. Wade and Taraji P. Henson saying about a woman's right to choose, you know, supporting a woman's right to choose. And I support a woman being able to have a child and choosing to keep it if she wants to. That's what Taraji P. Henson said. That's what she said. Janelle Monáe flipping the bird to the SCOTUS, to the Supreme Court. Taraji P. Henson said, guns have more rights than a woman. A weapon that can take lives has more power than a woman that can give life if she chooses to. That's what she said. But that's how stupid these are. I'm going to just say it. That's how fucked up these artists and celebrities are in Hollywood. They are not connected with the real world. What goes on? They're making millions of dollars. And as they make millions of dollars, they have security around the clock that will look out for them. They have assistants that do stuff for them. When they want to go out and eat, when they want to go do something, somebody's watching them. They can be protected. You as the average citizen, can you afford a security guard? Can you afford a bouncer? Can you afford protection? Jasmine Sullivan asking for men's support. It's a hard time now for women. And I want to speak directly to men. We need y'all. We need y'all to stand up for us. Stand up with us. If you ever been benefited from a woman making one of the toughest decisions of her life, which is to terminate a pregnancy, you need to be standing with us. How do you benefit from killing your child? I benefit. See, we're dealing with what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. And if you were in Jason Black's Twitter group yesterday, what you're dealing with is basically political, as he put it, political doctrine points, political talking points. People use words to try and justify what they do versus what is in reality. I said this when I called into his show Saturday. All this is about sex without consequences. That's ultimately what it is. And they're scared too, because really what Clarence Thomas talking about LGBTQ, the gay rights of gay marriage and contraceptions. And could possibly looking at those because they're not in the Constitution. That's what's freaking them out right now. Now, I don't care what you do behind closed doors. That's your business. However, we also got to think logically about this. And how does that benefit? How does Roe v. Wade benefit Black people exactly? I don't even look at it from just the religious perspective. Although, I believe in God, and I know there's a God. I'll just put it that way. And his commandments are clear if you follow it. Now, I'm not going to get in preachy and talk about that because I think people get lost when you start talking about that, because that has, separation of church and state. But separation of church and state, what a government does, remember, governments are still run by men, and men's viewpoints can always change. Even if you like it, you might like what they say in 2010, but guess what? In 2022, they can say something differently you don't like. They can say something that deep down is wrong. If the governor of the state or the legislator said it's time for us to bring back slavery, just hypothetically, if they said that, everybody deep down inside knows owning another human being is wrong. There's no such thing as having chattel property is wrong. Using human beings as chattel is wrong. When you're married, and I listened to this idiot that called in onto Jason's show, talk about how marriage is slavery and women are property. When you sign a marriage license today, there's no way, it is nowhere in that. We got to remember, we're also a matriarchal society as we speak right now. Women are running the households. Women in control, women doing what they want. Some of them out of control. These kids having no direction in the house, nobody there. It's kids having kids. How does that benefit? And let me say this, as much as I am opposed to abortion, I do believe there should be better programs in place that could help people who truly need it. And there are programs already out there that churches have sponsored with girls who get pregnant to help them through it. People that want to help people, private individuals who do this, there's things like that. The problem is that also one of the biggest problems is that sometimes, especially with us as Black people, we think we can handle it. We're tough. We don't need therapy. We don't go to, mental health is a serious issue. We don't discuss. And it's because in our nature, especially in the last 400 years that we have been in the United States, in these United States, that we were told basically to toughen up through slavery, through Jim Crow. Some people who didn't fight when they lost something. There's nothing in here. I want you to call. I want somebody that disagrees, that believes in abortion on Thursday night, or even right now. I can take one call if you disagree. Because I've asked people, if you disagree with Roe v. Wade, you call in and I'll be respectful to you. I've had one person call in before. How does it benefit? And yes, Roe v. Wade, and this is another thing. We're talking about Lizzo talking about giving $1 million to Planned Parenthood. It's been known that Planned Parenthood was founded by a racist in Margaret Sanger. This is a woman who said black people were like weeds. And they've done everything to really erase her from Planned Parenthood and not make sure nobody hears about her. They've talk about removing statues of her. But she was the one that supported this. This is documented. This woman they're trying to say, oh, she never said that. I heard it out of her own fucking mouth. It's well known she was a supporter of it. There's no lie in it. What was a lie was when you had Marla McCorvey claimed she got raped by several black men, which is why she wanted the abortion. And it was a lie. It's proven to be a lie. And yes, she did work with some African American counsel to try and get abortions in the black community, to set up clinics. And W.E.B. Du Bois was actually on that board. And yeah, Dr. King and Coretta Scott King worked with her early on. That's true. She was a member of the Birth Control Federation. So reportedly saying that, they're saying, oh, she didn't tolerate racial discrimination. She didn't bullshit. It's impacted our community. And you got to realize something. A lot of these black doctors, nurses, and clergy, a lot of them are sellouts. Go back to no, that's W.E. Du Bois. You saw him then, but I'm gonna go back to this. Look at this. My baby smoking weeds.
Mrs. Margaret Slee, president of America's Planned Parenthood Federation, maintains that European women should stop having babies for the next 10 years.
Don't you think such a theory, such a radical theory, is antisocial?
On the contrary, it seems to me that it is more practical and humane.
What about the women who want babies now and in 10 years will not be able to have babies? Rather impractical, don't you think?
Oh, John, you do ask hard questions. I should think that instead of being impractical, it is really very practical and intelligent and humane.
But Mrs. Slee, in this country, having babies is the only thing left which is both unrationed and untaxed. Do you think we really ought to stop?
Well, I suppose a subject like that is really so personal that it's entirely up to the parent to decide. But from my view, I believe that there should be no more babies
She said that. Now that was in Britain, but y'all heard it, did you not? Did y'all hear what she said? Now that was in Britain, but she said, from my view, there should be no more babies. Now, yes, the video, I don't if she said anything afterwards, I don't know, but that was enough for me. She said there should be no more babies in developing nations for the next 10
This
years.
is Margaret Slee, president of America's Planned Parenthood Federation, maintains that European women should stop having babies for the next 10 years.
Don't you think such a theory, such a radical theory, is antisocial? On the contrary, it seems to me that it is more practical and humane. What about the women who want babies now and in 10 years will not be able to have babies? Rather impractical, don't you think? Oh, John, you do ask hard questions. I should think that instead of being impractical, it is really very practical and intelligent and humane. But Mrs. Slee, in this country, having babies is the only thing left which is both unrationed and untaxed. Do you think we really ought to stop? Well, I suppose a subject like that is really so personal that it's entirely up to the parents to decide. But from my view, I believe that there should be no more babies.
There's no mistaking in what she said now. Is there? She said it loud and clear. From my view, there should be no more babies. Birth control. It's not even, I'm not saying that you can't plan. I'm not against that. If you're not ready, you're not ready. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that I've been cautious with stuff like this. I've never ever asked a girl for an abortion or anything like that. No, I can tell you that much. No, as much stuff I've done in my life and things that I've done some things I've done I regret. That I refuse to have I refuse to have that on my conscience. I would man up and take care of my child if something like that happened. That's just the way it is. But men don't get a choice. But what about child support then? Don't tell women what to do. That's another thing. These women, especially that you see on the BET Awards, like Janelle Monáe, Jamel Hill, Taraji P. Henson, all of them, they would be the ones, also, since they don't want a man to determine what to do with their bodies and so forth, they would be the exact same ones, I know for a fact, complaining about men who don't pay child support. And if they asked that they wanted to repeal child support, they'd be up there fighting. A man should take care of his children. Absolutely. He should support them financially. But our system is also broken in how it's done and handled those cases too. I've never known one that's gone up to the Supreme Court about child support, but maybe they need to be. It needs to be fixed. I'm not against, let me be clear, I'm not talking these deadbeat dads, their asses do need to be put on child support. And yes, children do need support, but some ladies who abuse the system, I got a problem with. The ones that don't want their men, they want money from them, but they won't let their children be with their father. Because I've had cases like that. That's what I'm talking about. TMH, that's what you mean for God. That's your way of saying God. I don't know what that means. You mean the man upstairs? TMU? Okay. Nobody wants to call in. Good evening, one who cares. I need you all to donate to the Cash App, please. Please donate, give something to your boy. We're going to talk about this more fallout. I might bring on some other people. And look, if you're opposed to it, I want you to do it. So on Sunken One, you have a kid? Oh, you lost the baby? I'm sorry. On Sunken One. Every man should take care of his own children, those that came from his loins. Rod. Ugh. Said the rod. Only with two hands. Rod. Only with two hands, ladies. Men and women should never have sex unless they're ready to have kids. You know, this also, and Tariq said this, and I agree with him. I think it also is going to teach some of these women and men as well, men and women, about who they lay down with. You can't just be laying down with dusty motherfuckers. You can't be laying down with somebody, you know, you just can't be laying down with somebody that you just want quick sex with and end up getting pregnant and then go run to the abortion clinic and then do the same thing. See, that dusty behavior got to stop. The Most High. Okay, thank you, Knight Rider. We're gonna get out of here, guys. But that's the type of stuff. It's gonna make people think twice. A lot of people talk about the backyard abortion alleys, but back alleyway abortions and so forth, back door is gonna be dangerous. Let me say this: we got to, as parents and as elders in the community and as adults, work with children, especially explaining to them why you need to wait, why it's important to wait until you're ready, till you're stable to have kids. Understanding you can't just be going around sleeping and doing whatever the hell you want. Now, there are no laws against that as of now. Probably, I mean, they never did, but technically, well, they did have some laws back in the day. I'm not gonna say they didn't, but the point being is that there was also a essence of morality where, for instance, if a girl got pregnant back 50 years ago, even longer than that, let's go back to 55 in the 60s, before the sexual revolution, and she was not married, that was considered an embarrassment upon the family. They actually would send her away so she could have the child and have it raised by like a grandparent or a sibling or some sort that was older and married. That's the way they did that back then. Today, if you see teenage girls pregnant, they get a TV show on MTV. We glorify that. We try to say we want to live our lives the way we want, but we glorify dysfunction. And the younger generation is seeing that, and it's hurting them because they're raised by kids themselves who didn't know any better. That's why we got kids running around right now thinking they can go and jack an adult and jack somebody for their car. They got to get checked for that shit. But with that being said, and watch this too, because they're making black people the face of this movement. And that's all that's about. That's why I didn't really care for the BET Awards. That's why I didn't watch it. I knew it was going to be garbage. I saw it was a complete moist fest. But in the meantime, I'm doing stuff. I'm trying to do things like promote my seasoning so you all can go and get NorniesCreoleBlends.com. Go on NorniesCreoleBlends.com. I put the website up earlier and I'm going to put it again right here. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nornies goes great with every dish. If you want to advertise with the channel, that's the email and the ticker there. That's the Nornies Creole Blends website, NorniesCreoleBlends.com, NONIS CreoleBlends.com. Also, subscribe to @Comwell Cause, ladies and gentlemen. The book is available now. Available now on Amazon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Gavin Richard and GB2786. You see the tickers at the bottom for the Cash Apps. And let's see what else we got. Celebrated that on Kindle. And I think I'm about done, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, of course, we have our songs, Gotta Get On Up, and Video Soul. So since it is time to wrap things up, we're going to go ahead and get on up, ladies and gentlemen. Said the Most High. I just say God, man. Just keep it simple. I ain't got time for them acronyms. Not a dictionary. No, but good night, Night Rider.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat.
Thank y'all.
On the dance floor is where we're
We got Thursday with Sean. Probably another day.
Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on Earth, Wind, and Fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
and move your body. Cause when the beat is baby grooving. It's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor, baby. Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Baby, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
We're gonna take over the 99, take over the show like the 99 for the 2000 family. We're gonna do this right, and we're gonna do it right. Cause Tom Barker here, of course, we're gonna get all up. Y'all gotta buy that Northern seasoning. I tell you, if you do not, your food is gonna be terrible, terrible, terrible. Your barbecue cooking gonna look like what's that look like? Where the Lakers, their whole season this year, it was just terrible. Cause street clothes was just terrible. Edna Street Clothes Davis, Ernie, he just not that good. He a knucklehead. Same reason why Damian Lillard, he ain't do that good in the playoffs. Portland never went anywhere. Miami, they were shaking. They ain't gonna do the baking. Y'all go ahead and get y'all Northern Creole seasoning blends on it. Otherwise, everything gonna be terrible. But happy 4th of July if you celebrate it. Because it's a good holiday, Ernie. It's a good holiday to eat some good old barbecue.